Hello everyone, my name is Quacknee, and I'm here to ask and answer one question. Can you beat Dead Rising using only ranged weapons? Dead Rising is a zombie survival sandbox game developed by Capcom that was initially released on the Xbox 360 in 2006, and happens to be one of my favorite games of all time. You play as Frank West, a photojournalist, who by way of helicopter infiltrates a government quarantine of the town Willamette, Colorado, and ends up jumping from said helicopter onto the local mall with the promise that the helicopter will return in 3 days' time to retrieve him after he's gotten the scoop of what's happening. The entire game is based on a timer system, so if the player's not careful with their time in the game, they could lose the main story and not find out what caused the zombie outbreak. On top of all that, almost everything in the mall can be picked up and used as a weapon with varying degrees of success. This game is goofy, funny, just the right amount of serious, and a ton of fun. And fortunately, the PC port works great, so if you haven't played this game before, you should definitely check it out. Now, let's get on with the rules of the run. I can only use ranged weapons. Technically, you can throw most weapons in the game, but I mean truly ranged weapons, where the default attack is a ranged attack, so no throwing chainsaws and sledgehammers, etc. I must get the true ending of the game, meaning I cannot lose the main story scoops, and I must complete the overtime mode. I'd also like to thank my channel members from the last month. Thank you again, Fallout Boy. With all that out of the way, let's get on with the run. On the roof of the mall, we meet a mysterious man named Carlito, who welcomes us to hell. How very nice. Once we make our way inside the mall, we find a group of survivors who are barricading the front doors to block out a horde of the undead. Meanwhile, this old woman is frantically looking for her dog. In the back, I find a lone old man behind some security gates, and he gets mad that I take his picture. Remember that old woman? Well, she apparently goes to the gym because these grown men are not able to stop her from destroying the barricade to get to her dog. And she lets all the zombies inside. Before running to safety, I be sure to grab this shotgun from a dead survivor, as it will be our first weapon. Inside the safe room, Brad asks where the others are, and I don't have an answer for him. He then tells Otis to seal the door to prevent any zombies from getting us. Brad then gets the idea to use the ventilation ducts to get back into the mall to find survivors and supplies. I then get a walkie-talkie from Otis and make my way back into the mall to find my first two survivors hiding on the roof, Jeff and his wife Natalie. I return them to the safe room and head back out. That's when I find Jessie, who has also left the safe room. She tells me that Brad contacted her and he got himself into a bit of a pickle. That took no time at all. She gives me her gun, and I take off after Brad. But first, I'll be grabbing a hidden Uzi just above the entrance towards the safe room. Just jump up from these stairs and head all the way down, and it's right here. This respawns whenever you lose it. I find Brad at the food court, and he's taking fire from Carlito, the man from the roof. He lays down some covering fire, and I move in to take him out. Taking down Carlito is pretty easy. I just walk right up to him and blast him with my Uzi. Fortunately for him, there happens to be a rope that magically transports him into safety. Seriously, there's no pulley system or anything here. Brad reveals to me that he and Jesse work for Homeland Security, and he's looking for the old man that I took pictures of earlier. We agree to help one another going forward, so I take him to where I saw him. Here's another secret Uzi on top of the food court sign. When we make it back to the old man, Dr. Barnaby, Brad tries to convince him to open up his security gates, but fails the persuasion check.
No, I'm not leaving until you can guarantee.
A store upstairs has a small group of zombies surrounding it, and inside, I find Bill. On the way back to the security room, I find Bert and Aaron, and a woman named Leah. When we go through the courtyard, we get attacked by a group of convicts driving around a Humvee with a mounted gun. I ignore them for now and grab Sophie. Then I found Kent, who is also a photographer. He gives me a challenge to photograph him, so I go along with it. After completing his challenge, he then challenged me again to come back tomorrow with an erotic picture that's better than his. Almost back at the safe room, I get attacked by a bee. When I kill it, all the nearby zombies die from a sudden case of head explosion. I return the survivors to the safe room and then go check on Brad and Jesse. Brad goes out to get supplies, and the next scoop isn't until 6 a.m. So I go take care of the convicts outside and take the MG off the back of the Humvee. After that, I head to Wonderland Plaza to investigate the roller coaster that's gone out of control. A psycho clown named Adam is behind the ordeal, and we're forced to kill him. This huge MG, however, makes very quick work of him. He's fine. I stop the ride and find a man named Greg. He, like Otis, works at the mall and tells me to follow him, and he can show me a secret tunnel they use to move around the mall quickly, here inside the bathroom. After I go through the tunnel, I get a call from Otis giving me the Japanese tourist scoop, which is back the way I came, so I turn around and grab them. They don't speak English, so I have to use a book to communicate with them. They agree to come with me, and I take them back to the security room. Next, I go get David from the North Plaza. He's injured, so I offer my shoulder, and we make it back to the security room, no problem. It's past midnight, so the convicts respawn. I use this opportunity to get that MG again. Then I start busting some moves in the security room until it's time for the next main scoop. When the scoop comes, we see Dr. Barnaby being dragged off by Carlito on the security cameras. Brad and I go after him, and this time, Carlito has a sniper. Just like before, Brad lays down covering fire, and I move in to take down Carlito. Brad and Carlito injure one another, and I fumble my shots to finish the job. But the doctor is safe. We get back to the safe room, but Brad's condition is getting worse. He needs medicine, which I can get from the supermarket in the North Plaza. When I get to the supermarket, I'm confronted by Steven, who also has a girl named Isabella captive. He's also very passionate about his job.
This is my stuff! Listen to me. And listen good, partner. I don't allow vandalism in my store!
The MG makes quick work of him. When I try to talk to Isabella, she tells me the zombies are all my fault and that I ruined Santa Cabeza and runs off. Whatever that means. I then grab the medicine for Brad. On my way back, I find Tanya and Ross. Ross is injured, so I'll have to carry him, but I get them both back to the security room, no problem. I then rescue Pamela and her friend Heather, taking them both back to the security room as well. After giving Brad his medicine, Jesse and I try to talk to Dr. Barnaby, but he's camera shy, so Jesse closes the door in my face, and I'm forced to find information somewhere else. I venture out to find more survivors, and I find Gordon cowering in a corner and convince him to come with me to the safe room. I also find Ronald, locked up in a diner looking for food. I give him some, and he follows me. Then I meet up with Kent again and show him what Jesse's panties look like. My superior photography skills crushes his soul, and he tells me to come back again for tomorrow for one more challenge. I return to the security room with Ronald and Gordon afterwards. And this is when the Raincoat cultists show up. I kill a group of them and save Jennifer from being a sacrifice, and then bring her back to the security room. I then head to the gun store where I have to fight Cletus. After he's dead, I grab a couple shotguns and go fight Cliff. And then I grab the survivors he's holding captive. I almost run out of time, so I run ahead, leaving some survivors behind to see Isabella in the North Plaza on the monitors. Then I make sure to go get everyone else into the security room. After which, I pump Isabella full of lead. When she calms down, she tells me that Carlito is her brother and is in need of medicine. I convince her to take me to him, and she tells me to meet her again at midnight. After that, I go fight Joe in Wonderland Plaza and free the women she has captive and take them all back to the security room. While I'm there, I go see Ronald and give him some more food. He ate all of our supplies and was trying to convince some other survivors to mutiny and try and escape. Idiot. Now it's time to kill the family of snipers in the entrance plaza. I gun down two with my shotgun, then use one of their own snipers to finish off the last one. Then I grab Floyd, Jolie, Wade, and Rachel. I try getting them back to the security room, but I run out of time for the main scoop. I tried this a couple times, and I just couldn't get the timing right. I had made a bad save at one point, and unfortunately, I sealed my fate. So I just decided to start it again from the beginning. Luckily, you keep all your levels in unlocked, so I just get back to this point in the story with some better planning this time. I did mess up one thing though. I ran past the scoop to fight Joe and rescue all those girls without actually doing it. And apparently, Joe just instantly kills 3 of them if you enter the Wonderland Plaza and don't do her mission. So, 3 survivors died, but I'm not restarting again. Sucks for them. Back where we left off, Brad is awake and Dr. Barnaby is ready to talk. He tells us that Santa Cabeza is a drug trade operation and that the zombies are a byproduct of their drugs. He reported them to the government, and this must be their way of revenge. Then I go meet with Isabella, who shows up injured. In a fit of rage, Carlito shot her, so I agree to take her back to the security room to help her out. We also find Kendall on our way there. When I make it back to the security room, she is unconscious. Jesse gives her first aid, and Brad says she is now in the custody of the DHS and will be questioned when she wakes up. In the meantime, I go to the movie theater to take down the raincoat cultists. I give Sean some righteous justice and free all the survivors they were holding hostage, and then I lead them to the security room. When I return, Isabella has awoken and tells us that there was no drug trade in Santa Cabeza, just an American research facility, and this facility accidentally created the zombie parasite, and that Dr. Barnaby was the head of the Santa Cabeza Livestock Research Facility. Dr. Barnaby goes crazy as he's infected with the parasite and becoming a zombie. As he starts to turn, he confesses that they were conducting experiments to reduce the cost of breeding in livestock, but adamantly insists that they did nothing wrong. Then he starts to break it down on the dance floor. Isabella then explains everyone in Santa Cabeza turned into zombies after the experimental wasp escaped the lab, and to contain the situation, the US military killed everyone. After all that, I go to Floyd and bring him some wine to calm his nerves and prevent him from leaving the safe room. What the hell is going on with her? What even is that? What?
I really owe you one.
What? Next, I find Gil drunk at the food court and fight Pyromaniac Paul. He drops a Molotov cocktail on his crotch, and I put it out with a fire extinguisher. He promises to be good, so I take him and the ladies he was holding captive all back to the safe room. Then I head back to the gun store and get shot at by some survivors who think I'm a zombie. Eventually they realize I'm not, and when I tell them I have a safe place to go, they want a picture as proof. I forgot to grab one, so I'll come back later to grab them. So I help Susan and Leroy on my way back to the safe room. When I get back to the safe room, Isabella tells us about Carlito's plan to blow up the mall. He plans on filling the underground maintenance tunnel with flammable gas and detonating bombs to blow up the entire mall. She also says that this will launch the zombie parasite into the atmosphere and spread the parasite across the world. I don't see how that would work, but we better stop him anyway. Before doing all that, I wait around for Kent. He has a guy named Tad held hostage, and his plan is to infect him with a zombie parasite and get the perfect shot of zombification. I stomp on his plans, and he gets so upset he tries to kill me. So I put him down. After which, I rescue Tad, find Simone, and take them both back to the safe room. Then I have to talk down another mutiny. Kendall doesn't think a helicopter is coming for us, and he tries to convince everyone to make a run for it. I talk him down, and everyone cools off. Now it's time to get those bombs, so I grab a motorcycle and go down to the maintenance tunnels. There are 5 bombs in total, and to top things off, Carlito chases me around in a van and throws a bunch of grenades at me. With all the bombs collected, I put them in a shopping cart and race them out of the tunnels. Meanwhile, Brad and Carlito are in another shootout. Brad injures Carlito, and instead of finishing him off, he approaches him, and Carlito takes this opportunity to kick Brad through a door and lock him inside. He'll be fine. He is a cool guy, and he doesn't afraid of anything. Outside, I run away from the bombs and they explode while I'm only 20 feet away from them. I am miraculously unharmed. I then head back into the tunnels to find Brad, and he's good. And he's fine. Never better. Sheesh. I put Brad down for a well-deserved nap and then grab the maintenance tunnel key. I then return to the gun store and grab all the survivors there and return them to the safe room. Isabella then tells us about a computer Carlito has hidden away and agrees to lead me there. Once there, Isabella is unfortunately unable to guess Carlito's password. We also find a signal jammer, but in order to disable it, we need the password. That's when Jessie calls me to come look at something she sees on the monitor. And would you look at that? It's Carlito being dragged off somewhere underground. Better go find him. Before taking off, I give Simone a handgun. She was bit by a zombie and promises to only use it on herself if the worst happens. Damn, Tanya's just throwing hands. And I speak to Cheryl, who wants to pose for me so that I can take provocative pictures of her. Don't have to ask me twice. Once I find Carlito, Larry the Butcher is trying to cut him up into some meat, so I take him down and talk to Carlito. Carlito is dying and refuses to give me the password, saying that all of this was his revenge for Santa Cabeza, and that we all deserve this. Before dying, he gives me a necklace and asks me to give it to Isabella.
He's dead.
What a way to break the news, Frank. I give Isabella the locket, and this makes her think of the password. Pasha Mama. With that, the jammer is disabled and the final case is complete. But now it's time for overtime mode. Jessie is finally able to contact headquarters and ask for backup. Unfortunately, she learns that the government has decided to just come in and clear everyone out and sweep the whole thing under the rug. So I head to the security room as fast as I can, but Special Forces arrive before I do. And as it turns out, Dr. Barnaby infected Jessie, and she turns into a zombie, killing the two Special Forces with her. When I find her, all the survivors are gone, so I take a picture for the achievement and kick her across the room. At midnight, Special Forces arrive and start to clear out the mall of zombies. I take a couple of them out and take their guns, as they're one of the best in the game. Outside, a military helicopter takes me down, but you don't game over from being killed by Special Forces. Instead, they lock you in a helicopter and you have to break free. This also passes time, so you could lose overtime mode by doing this too much, but I actually used it to pass time when I needed to. More time passes and the leader of the Special Forces arrives. Brock. When I go to the helipad to get my ride out of here, the pilot sees me with some binoculars from afar and comes to get me. But there's a zombie in his helicopter, so he crashes and dies. Frank then gives up and almost gets eaten, but Isabella saves him and takes him back to Carlito's hideout. It's then we learn that we got infected, but not all hope is lost, as Isabella thinks she can concoct a suppressant for the parasite. We just need a few things around the mall. A blender, some developing solution, coffee filters, a perfume bottle, a camp stove, a magnifying glass, and a first aid kit. With everything gathered, I returned to Isabella. While I was collecting everything, Isabella learned that Carlito had 50 doses of the experimental drug that caused the zombie virus given to children, all of which were adopted by families across the US, making essentially zombie time bombs. Can't do anything about that stuck here, so now I need to get a new generator for Isabella to continue her work. I head to the clock tower and find the wreckage of the helicopter and a hole in the clock tower leading to some underground tunnels full of zombies. I take note of that and grab the generator out of the back of the tower and return it to Isabella. And finally, she needs 10 queen bees to finish the drug. After getting them all to her, she injects me with the drug and tells me she was able to synthesize a pheromone to suppress the zombies. So, we take that pheromone to the clock tower and head down into the tunnels. Isabella walks around without being attacked by the zombies, and I choose to ride over the zombies' heads through the tunnel. When we reach the end of the tunnel, we find a military presence. We decide to open this gate and hopefully distract the military with the zombies so that we can steal a Humvee. But the pheromones are getting weak, so I have to carry Isabella on my back. We steal a Humvee and then get chased by a tank. This is by far the easiest boss fight in the game, as all you have to do is shoot the glowing parts of the tank.
These automated machines are no use at all on the battlefield. Switch to manual control.
Bro just got his butt kicked by a Jeep with a gun on it and then blamed lag. Brock then switches to manual controls and knocks us over. And now it's time for the final showdown. And technically, I do fail the run here because you have to fight Brock without any weapons. But because I'm forced to do this, it doesn't count. And with that, the game is over, and I can finally answer the question. Can you beat Dead Rising using only ranged weapons? Yes. Yes, you can. It was so good playing this game again. I will definitely be coming back to do more runs later on. I'll probably even do some runs in Dead Rising 2, though admittedly I have played that one much less than the original. I also thought that this would be a lot harder than it was. The shooting and aiming in this game is not great. But as long as you have a shotgun or an Uzi, none of the bosses were really too difficult. The worst part of this game was the god-awful AI for the survivors. Those of you who watched me play this live know just how frustrated they were making me at times. Anyway, thank you for watching. If you liked the video, be sure to leave a thumbs up, and if you want to see more, subscribe. Check out our Discord in the description, leave a comment below for what challenge run you'd like to see next, and with that, I'll see you next time.